What's going on, everybody? Not here. Happy Sunday. And today we're going to talk about the print quality of Destin Rivals. So I've done multiple videos now about print capacity at Millennium Print Group, how they're running the factory 24/7. And you know, relatively recently, uh, within the past couple weeks or the next couple weeks, there's going to be some print capacity that frees up. But in the meantime, we've seen a lot of red flags that are really reflective of um, you just printing too much and lack of QC and sloppiness, and quite honestly, they're running the factory too fast with too much velocity, if you will. So we've seen the first couple sets in Scarlet and Violet. The print quality was absolute trash. But then you get to Temporal through Surging Journey Together, the print quality was improved. And we can see that with the PSA rates from an intrinsic perspective. We can see that, or a qualitative perspective, quantitative. I don't know, whatever. I'm tired. But we also saw that with the quality of the cards. But things have gone downhill recently, and we saw this as recently as a couple weeks ago. And I did a little video on this where I believe it was the Walmart restock of 151 booster bundles had either Obsidian Flames packs or Paradox Rift packs, and then there were Paldean Fate bundles, I believe. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. That had the other set in, which was either Obsidian Flames or Paradox Rift. One of those two was in each. That to me is a telltale sign of your supply chain in your factory. You're running too fast. You're running too frequently. You're not hitting the pause button to QC. You're just pushing product out as quickly as you can for the sake of, because you have to hit deadlines, you have to fill POs, or you just want to maximize how much money you're making, or quite honestly, all of the above. So that brings us to Destined Rivals, and as a handful of YouTubers have mentioned, all these guys are going to do is they're just going to turn on the print presses, and then everything's going to be okay, and all the sets are going to zero. This is why that can't happen. Now, look, the Pokemon Company could continue to cram garbage product down our throats, and people are going to buy it. But I want to walk you through this, and outside of making sure that everything is centered correctly, making sure the cutting knives are sharp, there's really not that much else to do. So let's take a look at some of these screenshots. So these screenshots are all from our Discord. So this is all product that was within the Discord. So I didn't even have to go searching for this. I put out a message and said, hey, can you guys send me some pictures of your pulls that aren't the best quality? And I'm not sure anybody actually had one they think would grade PSA 10. So here's a Synthes Garchomp. This is your SIR. You can see you have spots on here, but you have whitening all around the edges. And everybody to a T said the top edge of the cards was cut with an extremely dull knife. So it wasn't a clean cut. It was pretty garbage. And I mean, you can see the centering is absolutely pathetically bad on this. Here's a Mewtwo. It's a little bit hard to see, but you can see the line here where instead of cutting through the cardboard, it was actually pushed forward. So I assume these cards are cut from back to front. But it was not a smooth cut whatsoever. It was pretty bad. Here's another Synthes Garchomp. This is a different one. You have whitening here. You have a huge corner ding, more whitening here. This is just, they're moving too quickly. They're pushing product out too quickly. And what's interesting is the way that these are collated is you have different sheets for different rarities, because the machine ultimately, you're putting different rarities in different bins and you're programming it how to run. So for example, you're going to have a massive common, uncommon bin. And then you're going to have your IR, your SIR to program to get pushed out every X number of packs. So to take it a step further, the print sheets themselves generally are all commons on a print sheet. all uncommons on a print sheet. So these are all SIRs, the chase cards. They're all going to be on the same print sheet. Same with the IRs. So you would think they would take a little bit more care in making sure the money cards aren't completely garbage quantity or quality, but they didn't do that. At least in the small sample size we have here, they're just run through the mill, run through the meat grinder like nobody gives a shit in the factory. They're like, just print it out, people are going to buy it, move on to the next one. Quite honestly, that's probably what they're doing. Here's another one. You can see it's pretty substantially left to right here on the centering. Let's see. One of the corners was dinged. You can see some whitening on the edges here. This one's actually not terrible. Here's Mewtwo again. Fat on the right, thin on the left. Pretty crappy centering. Here you can see it's a little blurry, but you can see that the entire top lip looks like it was bitten by a rabid dog. And then here's the back of the Cynthia's Garchomp. It looks like somebody took a bevel to the edges. So this was cut with a knife that was so dull, it was cutting through based on pressure, not based on sharpness. Because I mean, these are all massive presses where it pressure cuts them. So if a knife isn't sharp, it's just going to push the material left and right, and you're going to get a bevel like this. It's actually pathetically bad. How poor the quality. I can't even talk. The quality of some of these cards are. So I think the first item of note here is, I was looking at the singles prices, and the singles prices of these have come down quite a bit. And initially, it was a little confusing because the booster boxes are getting bought up at $250 plus all day long, but the singles prices are coming down, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense intuitively, unless people are just, hey, I want the sealed product, I'm going to open it, I'm going to panic sell the singles, which is kind of incompetent. I know, Pokemon's kind of a toy, so maybe that's happening. But now that I'm seeing how piss poor the quality is, I think people are buying the cards and they're just dumping them as quickly as they can because they know they're not going to grade out, 7 or 8 on a good day because the quality is terrible. So they're dumping them as near mint on TCG players as quick as they can, and they're just undercutting trying to sell the cards. And what that's creating, in my opinion, is you have a race to zero, not because people don't want the cards, because there's so many people trying to sell shitty cards as near mint. That's what's causing the impact. So, I would be very, very careful buying any of these cards sight unseen. Chances are you're going to get a lemon, and then you're going to have to fight, to get your money back. It's going to turn into a shit show. But I want to put this out there because I haven't opened any packs. I'm never going to open any packs of this. I'm moving product, so. But this is kind of, this is just kind of a notice that take a look at what you see. And, if you guys are seeing packs that are extra, extra clean and the cards are super pristine, feel free to let me know. Again, this is a small sample size. This is people that all open cards this weekend. But the print quality is pretty terrible. So anyway, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and we will talk soon.